Hey friends, welcome back. Now, before we dive into this little Python tutorial here, I'd like to ask you one thing. Please write in the comments whether the text size is big enough for you. Otherwise, next time I will increase the text size or decrease the text size, depending on your answer. So thanks a lot for that. Now let's dive into that. What we're going to do here is we first try to find two ways how we can basically create one list from this list of lists. So you can see I have X here, and X is a list containing of other list elements. So we have an order list, which is X, and we have inner lists, like in this case fruits. Then we have some kind of tools here, like Power BI, Tableau, and Excel, and then also some kind of, well, Python and data science related tasks or topics here. And we are trying to put all of those in one list. So there are various ways, which is great in Python, but let me show you two of them. The first one would be with a normal, well, for loop. So I could say for, in this case, let's call it L maybe, for L in X. This means that now we iterate through each list here within X. So each L is one of the lists for each iteration step. And then we simply say we want to extend a specific list we have to define first. So let's say here our complete list is equal to an empty list. And we say for each L in X, so for each of those list elements, we simply want to extend the complete list. So let's say complete list, extend. And then we simply say, in this case, the L element, like that. And let's run this, and let's have a look at the output. So if I use complete list, and run this, you can see that now we got one list, and we have all the elements in this list. Now, just in case you're wondering why I used extend, you're probably familiar with another term, which is append. So you could try this, but you'll see that you will get a different result. So let me use append here, like that. And let's execute this. And now let's have a look at complete list. And you see that you actually get the same result. So the difference between extend and append is append simply appends, in this case, the L, which is the inner list, to this complete list. But our goal is actually to extend, which means to add the individual elements from each of the lists to the new complete list. And to do this, we use extend instead of append. So that's the difference here. Extend, and then we get one list back. And that's what we want. The second option would be a list comprehension, which can also be used here. So for the list comprehension, we could say we simply want to have, we could store it in a variable, but let me show you just the output. I can easily do this in my Jupyter Notebook. If I say, I basically want to have each of the elements in one list, so I could say I want to have item, let's call this item, for, and I'll say inner list in X for item in inner list, like that. And if we execute it, we see we get exactly the same result. So basically we say we have a list comprehension, but for two lists, right? The inner and the outer list. So item, so each item in the inner list in X, and now for each item within the inner list. And this returns exactly the same result. So it's up to you whether you want to go with the first one or the second one, or maybe you have a third option, then of course feel free to also share it in the comments with all of us. All right, so that's it for this topic. And now let's have a look at the second one, which in this case is how we can sort tuples. We have a list of tuples here. So you can see here T and T2. Let me just execute it one more time and store it inside. And this is simply a list of tuples, right? So the first tuple is 10, 5, then 3, 7, 4, 6, and 8, 9. And the second one is then referring to a string value like data science here, machine learning, neural network, and programming. So, and now if I want to sort this, I could say, in this case, simply sort it, and then I could say sorted T, for instance. If I only execute it this way, like that, you would see that I will sort it now by the first element. So 3, 7, because 3 is the smallest number. I could also type in here the reverse keyword, reverse equals true. And then you see that we start with 10, then 8, 4, 3. So that would also be possible. Or I could say I'd like to actually sort this maybe by the second element of the tuple. So 5, 7, 6, and 9. In order to do this, I would go in here and define a key. So I could say key equals, and the key needs a function. So I can say lambda x, and the x is simply one name for the function. You can name it whatever you want. And then you say you want to sort by the first element, and you can do this by typing in x and then the 1. So this now refers to each tuple in our list T, but now to the first element, which is 5, 7, 6, and 9. Because remember, Python starts with 0 indexing. So that's 10 would be 0, the 5 would be the 1 element, or the first element. So if we execute this, like that, we see that now we start here with 5, 6, 7, and 9. And if I would also specify here maybe reverse equals true, then we would start with with 9, then 7, then 6, and then 5. And if we do this for list number 2, so if I simply use sorted here and T2, you would see that if you execute this, then basically it's executed again in the first order with the 0 element, and this also works for alphabetically, or letters in this case. Like D is the first element, then M, then N, and then P, right? So alphabetically. And of course you could also say reverse equals true, and then you would start with programming, right? And then neural networks, machine learning, and data science. And that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and please try it out yourself. As always, thanks a lot for watching. And if you want to see more content regarding Python, regarding Power BI, or regarding other topics, please feel free to ask, and I'll see what I can do. Okay? So that's it. Stay safe, and thanks a lot for watching. If you have not done so far, please consider subscribing. It would help a lot, and also motivate me, of course, to create future videos. So that's it. See you next time.